All right, so we did some work to the heater, and we have some AC lines that had to get run behind the heater. So all the things I wanted to get done to the heater finally got done. The temperature and thermostat gauge, which the thermostat is not working. I don't see what temperature it is. It's giving us the pressure we're getting. So I'm gonna have to change that gauge out for one that's working. Not the best gauge on the market, but it's one that's available in stock. I checked the expansion tank to make sure the bladder was not broken. I put some dielectric unions on so that I can remove it next time without cutting the copper. And also put an electronic anode rod on. And then that just plugs into the wall. So you got your ground on the screw. And then that plugs into the wall. Once you get a green light, you know you have a good ground. I put a valve on the hot, and I put a new valve on the cold because the cold was leaking at the seal where the valve gets screwed together. It had a small little leak right there. So got a new ball valve, Apollo ball valves. And the whole heater is going to have to get moved over because it's too much to the right, because I finally got a pan put in the garage, and the hole that I drilled through the concrete, I just couldn't fit it anywhere else. So I had to move the heater over just a little bit to get the drain to where the water could go into the drain. So this heater is going to have to get moved over to the left a bit. I just ran out of time. I wanted to take a hot shower. Didn't want to deal with this till late. And this is the old aluminum anode rod. So it had a zinc anode rod. This is a 2013 heater. So I'm trying to see how long I can keep it alive. The original one just had a small deposit left on the bottom. Of course, it was longer than this. This is a shorter aluminum rod. So this is only after 1 year. So this anode rod was changed 2021, and looks pretty bad, all the calcium deposits on there. So hopefully the electric anode rod will get rid of all of that. And here is the TNB valve. I took the old TNB valve out because it just looked pretty bad when I took the pipe off. I didn't like the way that looked. When they go bad, the seal will fuse to the seat and the valve won't open all the way or won't seal correctly. So that's the first to fail. When the TNB valve fails, what will happen is when it overheats, because the thermostat will overheat and the pressure will get too high, and it will break the seal on the element. So the element will start leaking out. I've seen leaks, say 90% of the time, the leaks come out of the element. Or in rare cases, on really some models, I don't know why, some years they were manufactured, the seal on the back of the heater will just split wide open. So I've seen that. Very rarely have I seen it, but this TNB valve has seen in better days. So it's always better to change these out. They're not expensive, and it's pretty much the most important part of the whole tank heater. So there's the new one. That I like them a little bit taller. So it's always good to have those extra on the truck, so you can have them for customers to get through. Some go on the side. They have more installation on the newer ones. This is an older one. So on the newer heaters, this element will be sunk underneath the insulation, because this is before the energy code changed and the insulation has to be thicker. So on the newer heaters, this electric anode rod will be buried down just like a quarter inch, maybe like a quarter inch under here, but it'll still work. You'll see this coming out of the sheet metal. So I put threaded brass so I can reuse all of the piping. If I ever change the heater or modify the heater, I can reuse all this material. Not like copper, you just cut everything out and throw it away. I want to be able to reuse all this because it is my heater. I can reuse all this copper, all this brass, the brass tees, the brass nipples, and all that stuff. And the valves will be easier to change because I just soldered on male adapters on the back. And then I can change. I'm going to have to turn those 90s to the left, so this heater will be centered better in the pan. and the drain will be able to drain all the water outside. In Florida, this is the code to have the relief line into the pan, so you can see if there is a leak, and then the pan goes outside. So most heaters, when they leak, like I said, they'll leak through the element and they'll drip down here. So most of the time you will not get a leak through the TNP valve, because most TNP valves, most of the time they just get freezed up and they never work right, because they get gunked up with so much stuff they never work. So, but that's pretty much it. There's nothing else. You just check your expansion tank, make sure they're working, make sure the bladder is not busted. You can get a gauge right there, tire gauge, and check the pressure. It should match the pressure that you're getting on the PSI here. I have a well system, so I have the temperature a bit low, the pressure a bit low. I don't have my pressure at 60. I like it at between 30 and 50. I don't like it so strong. That's just your preference. You can set it however you want. And just check your heater and do the maintenance, and your heater will last a long time. If you don't like tankless, which I do not like tankless, I've serviced tankless for years. I like the gas tankless heaters, but I definitely don't like the electric tankless heaters. A lot of the manufacturers are getting better with their tankless electric heaters. They're getting much better at the problems that they were having. However, I just like the tanks because they're easy to maintain. The parts are cheap. The parts are available. The parts are in stock. And you don't have to order online and wait weeks to get parts for them. So this is the best thing you can do for your tank heater, for it to last long and get hot water. We did have the timer on, but I wasn't seeing any difference in the energy consumption as far as the electric bill. So I took out the pins and it's just running full time. I don't, if you're going on vacation or something, or if we're out of town, just turn the heater off, turn the power off, turn the water off, and just let it sit. And then, so drain your heater every year. Open up the TNP to put air in the system to drain it. Of course, before you drain it, make sure you turn the power off. If you don't turn the power off and you drain the heater, the elements will burn out and they'll blow up. They'll break. You'll have to replace those, which is not a big deal. But just make sure every time you drain the heater, turn the power off first, and then open up your TNP. And that's your maintenance schedule once a year. Even if you have city water, do it once a year. And I'm going to change this because this is not working. It's not, the temperature gauge is not working. So I have another one I'm going to put in. If I can find a better brand than Bluefin, I'll change the whole brand. And that'll be it. So that's it.